Bond. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Got some great action scenes. I liked Rami Malek as the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got a really good opening, like beginning opening scene, and then another really great action sequence at the very start of the film, all before the credits roll, the title song, which I think the Daniel Craig title songs have been trash, except for Skyfall.
You didn't like the Billie Eilish one?
I like the Billie Eilish one,
okay,
but it's like the other ones have all been awful. That Chris Cornell one in Casino Royale is bad. Sorry.
Bad?
I don't like the Jack White, Alicia Keys one. The Sam Smith one in Spectre is so awful. It's so bad. That they had a great song, a great title song for Spectre by Radiohead. And I have no idea why they didn't go with the Radiohead song. Why they went with that Sam Smith bullshit is beyond me. But I did like the Billie Eilish title song to this one. I know that some people don't like her because she's very quiet, almost whispery when she sings.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. Not as good as Adele's Skyfall, but...
Of course.
But really good. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It is long. It's 2 hours 40 almost. But was well worth it, especially in the theater on the big screen for the first time watching a movie in over 18 months.
Yeah, you were waiting for that one for a long time.
Yeah, because that got delay after delay after delay, man. It was supposed to come out, I think, Thanksgiving of 2019. And then got delayed either because Daniel Craig got hurt making it, and because Danny Boyle was originally involved in directing it and then dropped out. And Cary Joji Fukunaga, I'm sure I'm saying that right, the guy who directed the first season of True Detective, Daniel Boyle dropped out, and then Cary Joji Fukunaga came in to direct it. He's most famous for directing the first season of True Detective.
Mm-hmm.
So he came in to direct it. That's why it got delayed the first time. And then it was supposed to come out April of 2020. And then because COVID was starting to rear its ugly head, it got pushed to November of 2020, thinking things would be better. Things did not get better. It got pushed to April of this year, 2021. Things were still not better. So they pushed it to October when things were better, not great, but better. And I was really excited to see it. So it was coming out almost 2 years past the time that it should have. This is probably the longest stretch in between Bond films that there's ever been. Because the Spectre was out in 2015, so 6 years. So that's the in between Timothy Dalton, which we'll talk about in a moment. In between Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, there was a 6-year gap. So this was on par with that. But Ana de Armas shows up for one sequence. Unfortunately, one sequence, but it's the most fun sequence in the film, and she's fantastic in it. And my guess is she's in it because her and Daniel Craig are buddies from Knives Out. But she's so much fun in the movie that when she leaves, you're hoping you see more of her, and then you don't. But I don't think that makes the movie lesser because of it. Mm-hmm. It's literally, she's leaving you wanting more of her character and her scenes because she's so much fun in the sequence in Cuba. And Jeffrey Wright, who I just talked about with the French Dispatch, coming back as Felix Leiter. He's in the first 2 Daniel Craig Bond films. He comes back in this one. He's really good. So, I would definitely say check that out if you're a big James Bond fan like I am. Don't let the runtime scare you off. It's great. It moves. It never felt slow at all. I know that, we're talking about having longer run times on a lot of films, but that one was one that definitely did not feel like a 2 hour and 40-minute film.
Especially if it's his last one, then you don't want to have it be too short either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, on a side tangent, because I'm a big James Bond fan, and because I knew that this was coming out, I rewatched every single James Bond film.
Oh, shit.
Because I have most of them, but not all of them. Went back, rewatched all of them, which was my plan back in March of 2020 to go and do. So, went back, watched all the James Bond films, because this was going to be the 25th James Bond film, and from my guess, probably the last one we're going to see for a few years at least.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do a complete rewatch. I haven't seen some of them in many years, and some of them I've seen pretty recently. Obviously, the Daniel Craig ones I've rewatched a few times. I've rewatched some of the Pierce Brosnan ones a few times. Before I get into kind of what's good and what's not, I do want to say Timothy Dalton, who was James Bond for a couple of movies in the late 80s, is awesome. He doesn't get the love that he should. A lot of people were kind of put off by his take on James Bond, but the Daniel Craig movies owe a lot to the Timothy Dalton era, because Timothy Dalton was kind of a darker, more ruthless James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of world-weary, a little over it. And the two films that he did, The Living Daylights and License to Kill, are phenomenal. I know License to Kill was kind of one of the lower grossing Bond films when it opened up. It's very violent. Apparently there's an R-rated cut of that movie because it is so violent. A young Benicio del Toro is one of the henchmen in the film. Dies an awful, awful death. Like one of like the most like gut-wrenching, violent, bloody deaths I've ever seen in a James Bond film. And Robert Davi, who plays the main villain in that film, is great. So, I just wanted to give my love for Timothy Dalton. I know that Sean Connery is kind of like the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really knock Sean Connery for his James Bond, but the two Dalton films were the ones that I really... They came out when I was starting to get into James Bond movies, so those were the two that I've probably seen the most. And I just wanted to shout out my love for Timothy Dalton and for his take on James Bond. And it's such a shame that there was rights issues that he didn't get to do a third Bond film. And then when the rights issues were sorted out, they kind of came back to him, but because so much time had passed, he was just kind of, I've moved on. And that's why they went with Pierce Brosnan, who they wanted originally before Timothy Dalton came in. And Pierce Brosnan was under contract to his TV show Remington Steele at the time, so he couldn't do it. So they went with Dalton. But then Pierce Brosnan got his shot with Goldeneye, which is awesome. And then, the rest are kind of... The rest of the Brosnan films are good to very bad. I will give a little bit of love to Tomorrow Never Dies, because Michelle Yeoh is in it, and Michelle Yeoh is great. And I wish she would have been in more James Bond movies, because she's so good in that one. And as you all know, I have a very big hatred of Die Another Day. It's so garbage. And the Madonna disco theme song is the fucking dirt worst. Worse than that Sam Smith song. I can give you a ranking of James Bond movies.
Do you have one?
I don't have an official 1 to 25 ranking, but if you're looking for a primer, the Connery films, he had 3 in a row that are awesome. From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, which is kind of the definitive Bond film, and then Thunderball. Great. You can watch Dr. No, which is the first Bond movie. It's a little slow. It's not great. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other two Connery films, I'm not a huge fan of. Even though You Only Live Twice has the volcano lair that kind of became synonymous with Bond, and that's what usually gets parodied with Bond parodies and even Austin Powers. But you can skip Diamonds Are Forever. George Lazenby was Bond for a movie. His Bond is no good, but the movie itself, the plot itself of On Her Majesty's Secret Service is great. I highly recommend that movie, even if George Lazenby kind of sucks as Bond. I am not a Roger Moore fan. I know a lot of people love Roger Moore, and he had this kind of wink-wink campy take on James Bond, but I'm not a Roger Moore fan at all. Spy Who Loved Me is a good movie. I'll say that. And For Your Eyes Only is a good movie. The other Roger Moore ones, you can fucking skip them. I don't care. He has at least 2 movies or 3 movies that are very bad. The ratio of good movies to bad movies with Roger Moore is he gets the worst of it, in my opinion. You know I love Timothy Dalton. I highly recommend those 2 movies, Living Daylights and License to Kill. I highly recommend those 2. And then the Pierce Brosnan movies, as we've already discussed. GoldenEye rules, and Tomorrow Never Dies is pretty good. The other 2 are not great. Except for the garbage theme song to The World Is Not Enough, which is really good. I don't mean garbage like it sucks, like Garbage the band did the theme song to The World Is Not Enough, and it's great. That's my definitive ranking. Watch From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, even if Lazenby sucks, The Spy Who Loved Me, For Your Eyes Only, License to Kill, Living Daylights, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and watch all the Craig movies because I've generally enjoyed them, even if some people did not like those 2 that I called out already. That's about half. You can watch a solid half of them, and you can skip the other half as far as I'm concerned. I've spoken on the James Bond thing. I'm the expert. My list is the only one that matters.
I really liked Malcolm and Marie.
That was the John David Washington and Zendaya movie?
Yes, on Netflix. You haven't seen it yet?
Haven't seen it. Wanted to. Haven't seen it yet.
It's very good. It was kind of under fire when it was released because of the little age gap between... I mean, yeah. I know.
The age gap is not that much.
No.
And they're adults, so yes. Calm down.
Yeah. But,
John David Washington's only like 35, 36? He's not that old.
Yeah. He's still young.
Fucking older than he is.
It's a good movie. Great performances from both of them. It's, as you probably know, it's just them to the entire film.
Because they shot during the pandemic.
Yes. All takes place in their house, and they're kind of in this, what feels like a toxic relationship, and you kind of figure that out as you go along within the story, but I found it very gripping and entertaining. Mm-hmm. You know, it was, it didn't deserve the hate that it got, where it's like, oh, this is so boring, or nothing's happening, and it's like, yeah. Didn't you watch the trailer? Like,
yeah.
You should have known.
Yeah, you kind of know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. You know, it's basically going to be a 90-minute, 2-hour conversation